Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Get ready, because this one's a wild ride. We're diving headfirst into the world of forgotten realities, those mind-bending concepts that exist on the fringes of what we consider possible.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
This one's going to be fun. Our listener sent in this awesome source titled, Exploring Realities You Were Never Meant to Know Beyond Logic.
Catchy.
Right. And the best part is it's structured as a tier list, ranking these forgotten realities from most to least logical.
Okay, I like where this is going. A tier list of realities.
Yeah.
It's like this source is begging for a deep dive.
Exactly. A deep dive is exactly what we're going to do. So buckle up, because we're starting with C tier. The hold on could be real realities.
It's most logical of the bunch.
Right. Well, most logical in this case is a relative term, of course, because C tier kicks off with parallel universes. The multiverse.
And not just a few parallel universes, but an entire multiverse where every decision, every possibility, every time you spill your coffee, branches off into its own separate reality.
Infinite reality.
Infinite possibilities. So somewhere out there, in some distant corner of the multiverse, there's a version of me who actually listened to my own advice and invested in Bitcoin back in 2011.
And now you're writing this from your own private island.
Exactly. Well, in this reality, well, let's just say I'm still waiting for my crypto-powered yacht to come in. A shame, really. This universe seems to be running on slightly different code.
It's a mind-blowing concept. And the funny thing is, the idea of parallel universes isn't just the stuff of science fiction. It pops up in some pretty serious scientific circles, too, particularly when we're talking about quantum mechanics.
Quantum mechanics. Okay, now, that sounds a little intimidating. Don't worry, it's not as complicated as it sounds.
Well, I hope not.
Basically, quantum mechanics is all about how tiny particles behave. And one of the weirdest things about quantum mechanics is that these particles don't seem to exist in any one definite state until we observe them. It's like they exist in this fuzzy cloud of possibilities.
So they're like, decide what you want me to be when you look at me.
Kinda. And one interpretation of this, the many worlds interpretation, suggests that every time a quantum event happens, like every time one of these particles could go one way or the other, it actually goes both ways, just in different universes.
Wait, really?
So every choice, every possibility, every outcome, it all happens, just not necessarily in the same universe. It's like the universe is constantly splitting off into these alternate realities, all happening at the same time.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it, but my brain might be a little bit fried now.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take in.
So basically, every decision I make spawns countless new universes. No pressure, right? But hold on. If these universes are constantly splitting off, how could we ever prove they exist?
It's a fantastic question.
Are they truly real if we can't interact with them?
That's the million-dollar question. And honestly, it's one that physicists are still grappling with. It all hinges on this idea of quantum decoherence, essentially. The process by which these different realities become separate and distinct from each other. Think of it like two waves overlapping and then separating again.
Okay, so they sort of diverge.
Exactly. But here's the catch. Measuring that, proving it definitively, that's still beyond our current capabilities.
So parallel universes are a definite maybe for now.
It's a fascinating possibility to consider.
It is. All right, speaking of fascinating possibilities, next up on our C tier list is simulated reality.
The classic, are we living in a simulation debate.
I know, right? It's like we're jumping headfirst into a sci-fi movie. But I can't believe I'm saying this with a straight face. Some really smart people actually entertain this idea.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, even Elon Musk, the guy who's trying to colonize Mars, has said he thinks it's more likely that we're living in a simulation than not. And honestly, with the way technology is advancing, who knows what the future holds?
Precisely. I mean, think about how far video games have come even in the last decade.
Right, it's insane.
If we continue on this trajectory, is it really that crazy to think that someone, somewhere, could create a simulation so realistic that it's indistinguishable from actual reality? And if that's the case, how could we ever be sure that we're not in one right now?
That's a truly existential question. And it gets even weirder when you consider the whole fine-tuned universe argument.
Oh, you mean the idea that the laws of physics seem almost perfectly calibrated for life to exist?
Exactly. Like if you tweaked the fundamental constants of the universe even a tiny bit, the whole thing would fly apart. Stars wouldn't form, planets wouldn't exist, and we certainly wouldn't be here having this conversation. So is it just an incredible cosmic coincidence? Or could it be evidence that someone, somewhere, set the parameters just right to create this reality, this simulation that we call home?
A cosmic fine-tuning.
It's a mind-blowing thought. But you know what? Let's try to shake off that existential dread for a moment, because things are about to get even more interesting as we move into B tier. Intriguing, but Where's the proof? Realities.
All right, let's hear it.
B tier kicks off with a concept that's both fascinating and a little unnerving: multidimensional beings.
Okay, now we're talking.
And before you ask, no, we're not talking about your typical ghosts or aliens here. Think weirder, more abstract. Think dimensions beyond our comprehension.
Like literally higher dimensions.
Exactly. We experience reality in 3 spatial dimensions: up, down, left, right, forward, backward, plus, of course, time. But what if there are more dimensions out there? Dimensions beyond our ability to perceive. That's where the idea of multidimensional beings comes in.
Beings that exist outside our reality as we understand it?
Exactly. Think of it this way. Imagine a flat, 2-dimensional world. They could be aware of a line intersecting their world, but not the 3-dimensional object passing through it.
We'd just be a blip on their radar.
Exactly. They could be living, breathing, doing their multidimensional thing, and we'd be none the wiser.
Passing right through us.
It's a truly mind-boggling concept, and what's even more intriguing is that the existence of higher dimensions is entirely out of the question, even from a scientific perspective. Tell me more.
Well, there's this mind-boggling theory in physics called string theory. Now, I won't even try to get into the nitty-gritty here.
Thank goodness.
But the basic idea is that the universe might be made up of these tiny vibrating strings, and these strings vibrate in different dimensions. And some physicists believe there could be as many as 11 dimensions.
11? Okay, that's a lot of dimensions.
Right. It makes you wonder, what if these multidimensional beings are out there, existing in those higher dimensions, interacting with forces we can't even comprehend?
It's enough to make you question everything we think we know about reality, isn't it?
Exactly. And that leads us perfectly to the next intriguing yet unproven concept in B tier: psychic reality.
Okay, psychic realities. So we're talking telekinesis, telepathy, precognition, all that good stuff. Is this where we cross the line from theoretical physics into, like, the X-Files?
Maybe. But even here, there are fascinating connections to how we understand consciousness.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, for centuries, Eastern philosophies, for example, have often viewed the mind as having a much more direct influence on reality than Western science typically acknowledges.
Interesting. So it's like our thoughts have a tangible impact on the world around us.
In a way, yes. And then you have things like parapsychology, which attempts to study these psychic phenomena scientifically.
But hasn't science pretty much debunked all that?
Not so fast. While the evidence is admittedly inconclusive, there have been some intriguing studies that suggest there might be something to these phenomena. We're talking about things like statistically significant results in telepathy experiments and studies on remote viewing that are hard to explain away as mere chance.
Wow, so there's still a lot we don't understand about the nature of consciousness and its potential influence on reality.
Absolutely. Which is precisely what makes this whole area of psychic reality so fascinating. It's this gray area where we have these tantalizing hints, these anecdotes, these ancient traditions, but no concrete proof. It really makes you wonder, are these phenomena simply beyond our current understanding, or are they just products of our imagination?
It's enough to make you want to sign up for a meditation retreat and see if you can tap into the universal consciousness yourself, right? Just in case.
Why not? You never know.
All right, listeners, buckle up. We're about to enter a tier territory. Okay, now we're on the edge realities, and trust me, it's about to get weird.
A tier dives right into the deep end with the collective unconscious.
Collective unconscious.
Selective unconscious. Okay, that sounds like a bad sci-fi movie title.
Maybe, but it's a fascinating concept.
All right, break it down for me.
So this idea comes from Carl Jung, you know, the famous psychologist.
Yeah, I heard of him.
Well, Jung believed there's a part of our unconscious mind that's not just personal, not just your unique experiences and memories.
It's something much deeper. He believed there's a part of our unconscious mind that's shared by all humanity, like a universal database of experiences, archetypes, those primal instincts that we all share.
So it's not just my weird dreams and repressed memories down there, it's everyone's. That's a lot to unpack.
It is. And Jung believed this collective unconscious is where we get those universal archetypes, the hero, the villain, the wise old sage that pop up in stories and myths across every culture on Earth.
You know, it's true. Those archetypes, DO, seem to resonate with people all over the world, regardless of where they come from or what they believe. I never thought about it like that. Could that be evidence of this shared unconscious?
It's certainly compelling thought. And if you think about it, even our deepest fears and desires, love, loss, fear of the unknown, they often share these common themes, these universal elements. Yeah. Could that be a reflection of this deeper, interconnected level of consciousness? Jung certainly thought so.
Okay, I think I see where this one lands in the now we're on the edge tier. It's like, are we really individuals with our own unique thoughts and experiences, or are we just plugged into this giant universal mind network? It's kind of freaky when you think about it.
Right, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, because next up in the A tier, we have hyperdimensional spaces.
Hyperdimensional spaces. All right, I'm getting some serious interstellar vibes here. Are we talking wormholes, tesseracts, those crazy visualizations of alternate dimensions?
Not exactly, but you're on the right track. Remember how we were just talking about higher dimensions with those multi-dimensional beings? Well, even standard physics, not just the really out there stuff, even standard physics hints that there might be more dimensions than we can perceive.
Okay, I'm following.
Think of it this way. Imagine a two-dimensional world. Just a flat surface, nothing more.
Okay, got it.
Now picture a three-dimensional object, like a sphere, let's say, passing through that surface. To the inhabitants of that flat world, they wouldn't see a sphere.
No, they wouldn't have the perspective to perceive it as a whole object.
Right, exactly. They'd just see a series of changing shapes, appearing and disappearing as the sphere intersected their plane of existence.
It would be like magic to them or something completely unexplainable.
Precisely. And get this, we could be that flat world, completely unaware of these higher dimensional spaces intersecting our own reality.
So you're saying those higher dimensional spaces could be all around us, just hidden from our perception because of our limited way of experiencing the universe. That's kind of terrifying, but also amazing.
Right. And those intersections, those points of contact, could be what this source is calling hyperdimensional spaces.
Okay, now my mind is really spinning. What if those weird cold spots in your house aren't just drafts, but like pockets of hyperdimensional energy leaking through from some other dimension? Okay, maybe I've been reading too much science fiction.
Or maybe not. The point is, there's so much about the universe we still don't understand. And the deeper we dive into these forgotten realities, the more we realize how limited our current understanding of reality might actually be.
Okay, so I need a deep breath after that one. We're ready to see what the S tier has in store for us. Because remember, this is deeply improbable but fascinating territory.
Lead the way.
All right, listeners, we're officially off the map now. S tier, also known as the unlikely realities. And first up, we have void realms.
And when this source says void, they mean it.
Like really void.
Not just empty space. Think way more extreme. We're talking about the absence of everything. No time, no space, no matter, no energy. It's one of those concepts that really pushes the limits of what the human mind can even grasp.
Okay, even for a deep dive, this is getting kind of out there. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. If the universe, as we know it, is like a giant cosmic movie, then void realms are like what? The blank film strip before any images are even projected onto it.
I like that. Yeah, it's a good analogy because it's the ultimate before state, right? Before being, before existence, before even the concept of nothingness comes into play. It's challenging because our minds naturally try to make sense of things, to impose some kind of order, some framework onto the unknown.
Right, we look for patterns.
But the void, it just defies all that. It breaks the system.
It's like staring into the abyss, and the abyss is staring back with nothingness. Okay, I think I need a bit of a palate cleanser after that one. What's next on this wild ride?
Next up, eldritch dimensions. And listeners, hold on to your sanity because this one gets a little spooky.
Eldritch dimensions. Okay, the name alone sounds like it belongs in a Lovecraft story. I'm already getting chills.
It's a concept borrowed straight from cosmic horror. You know, that genre that just loves to explore those deep-seated fears of the unknown, of the vast, indifferent universe, and all the terrifying things that might be lurking out there, just beyond our perception.
So we're not just talking about extra dimensions here, right? Like not just more directions you could walk in. We're talking about dimensions where the rules of reality as we know them just don't apply.
Exactly. Imagine a dimension where time is fluid and inconsistent. A dimension where space folds in on itself, where gravity works differently, or maybe not at all, and where cause and effect are totally scrambled. A place where logic itself breaks down.
Okay, yeah, that's officially terrifying, but also kind of fascinating in a morbid way. It's like the ultimate forbidden zone.
It's a place that defies our understanding, where the laws of nature as we know them cease to exist.
So what kind of things might exist in these eldritch dimensions, assuming, of course, that our brains don't melt trying to comprehend them?
Well, that's where things get really interesting, and by interesting, I mean potentially nightmare-inducing.
Oh no, what do we have in store?
Because we're talking about beings, entities, or forces that operate on principles so alien to us that to even perceive them could drive us completely mad.
Okay, I think I've seen this movie, and it doesn't end well.
Right, they exist outside our understanding beyond our ability to grasp. And that's precisely where the true horror of eldritch dimensions lies. It's the fear of the unknowable, of that which defies our very comprehension.
Okay, yeah, I'm getting some serious call me crazy, but did that statue just move? Vibes here. I think I'm ready to move on to the beyond broken tier now. For science.
All right, but don't say I didn't warn you, because this is the realm of pure speculation. We're dealing with concepts so strange, so abstract, that they're almost impossible to put into words.
Hit me with your best shot. What's the beyond broken tier all about?
First up, anti-existence. And I'm not even sure existence is the right word here, because even nothingness implies something, right? It implies a state of being. Even if that state is empty, anti-existence is different.
Oh, so
It's not just the absence of existence. It's the negation of existence itself. It's the complete and utter cancellation of the very concept. Like, imagine trying to subtract not just from zero, but from the very idea of numbers themselves. That's anti-existence.
Okay, my brain just did a backflip. So we're not just talking about zero, not just emptiness, but the opposite of everything, including the concept of opposites.
You're getting close. It's a concept that's been debated for centuries. Philosophers, physicists, even theologians, they've all grappled with the idea of anti-existence, and it still boggles the mind.
This is heavy stuff, and there's more.
Oh yes, because we've still got to tackle the big one, the concept this source calls inverse reality. Ready?
Honestly, after anti-existence, I'm not sure what could be weirder, but lay it on me, what's inverse reality?
Imagine everything you think you know about reality, cause and effect, the flow of time, the nature of light and darkness, and then flip it. Reverse it.
Reverse it, really? Like hitting rewind on the universe.
In a way, yes. In inverse reality, everything is backwards. Actions happen before decisions are made, effects precede causes, time flows in reverse. The very fabric of existence woven in reverse.
Okay, my brain just blue screened. I think we need to call it a day. This entire deep dive has been incredible. We've gone from parallel universes and psychic phenomena to void realms and inverse realities. I need a nap, a stiff drink, and maybe a physics tutor just to process all of this.
I hear you. It's a lot to digest. But that's the beauty of exploring these forgotten realities, even the ones that seem utterly impossible. They have this way of sparking our imaginations and making us question the very nature of reality.
You know what? You're right. This deep dive might have left me with more questions than answers, but it's definitely opened my mind to the vastness of what we don't know. And who knows, maybe someday what we consider impossible today will be tomorrow's scientific breakthrough. It's happened before, right?
Exactly. And until then, it's fun to explore these fringe ideas and let our imaginations run wild.
Absolutely. A huge thank you to our listener for sending in this incredible source material. It's definitely given us a lot to think about. And to all our listeners, thanks for joining us on this journey into the unknown. Until next time, keep exploring those forgotten realities, but maybe keep a nightlight on just in case.